Welcome to Mom Talk, the talk show for mom. I'm your host, Genevieve Lefebvre, and I'm with my two co-hosts, Becca Lewis and Heather Fox. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
So today we're talking about the 3 keys to discipline that is attachment safe and developmentally friendly. So we're lucky to have with us Deborah MacNamara. Deborah is a clinical counselor and author and on faculty at Neufeld Institute. So hi, Deborah. Welcome. It's nice to have you with us today.
Hello, ladies. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's do it. So what are the 3 keys to discipline that is attachment safe and developmentally friendly? We all want to know about this.
Right. Okay. So the focus is how to preserve your relationship and not thwart development. We still want to keep development moving in a child. There's many forms of discipline that you could use that might stop behavior, but actually can be detrimental to your relationship and to a child's development. And so that's hence the title. It's such a great title. So there's 3 keys in particular. And the first one will seem quite common sense, I think, and obvious, but I think it's actually a lot harder to do. And that is we should try to work outside of incidents that are really heated. Now, when a child is really stirred up with powerful emotions, frustration, you can see that turn into aggression. They're anxious or alarmed, and out come these big eruptions. They can have a lot of different types of behaviors, stomping, hitting, breaking, biting, yelling, screaming, swearing, whatever. And some of them can be quite, huge and alarming. So our job in those moments is obviously to take care of and find a way through that impasse, trying to do no harm to our relationship, but leading nonetheless, and preserving the child's dignity and ours. So how would that look? Oh, that could look a lot of different ways, but it's you could simply acknowledge you're stirred up, you're having a hard time, you're frustrated, you're really mad. Try to match the child, your statement with the child where they're at, and just simply acknowledge it. Don't add your emotions to it. Identify the child with their behavior, like you're so mean, you're so bad. That is only going to make things worse. It's going to flare up those emotions. So the goal really in those moments that are particularly emotionally heated is to try to get out of them with everybody's dignity as much intact. You're frustrated, you hit your brother. We can't allow that. We're going to do something different. I'm going to hold this. You come here. You might let some, screaming and hollering that just comes out of the child. As long as everybody's okay, just let that dissipate, just let it come out. Don't try to force a child down a particular road. Sometimes we just need those eruptions. And try to maintain, that there is expression here without a repercussion to your relationship. Try to communicate to the child that you can handle it and that you'll get through it, but don't try to control an out of control child. Control the circumstances around them. So that's really key, is when you're in the incident, remember that your best bet is going to be dealing with this incident outside of it. And so you're going to try to find a way through it and be patient that you'll have another day, time, reflection, whatever you need to come back and figure out what is going on. And this is in particular to, heated situations that can go sideways quickly, where it's not hard for us to get frustrated at our emotions. Usually it's siblings fighting each other that is very hard for parents. It's 2 kids we love, and one is hurting the other, and so it's very, very difficult. So yeah, find a way through the impasse, work outside the incidences. We know that. Don't send that email. If you're mad at someone, wait 24 hours and read that email before you send it. We know that in our adult relationships. It's no different when you're working with someone who's less mature than an adult as well. So hopefully that makes sense. It's hard to do, though. Everybody wants to teach in the moment.
Yes, it is hard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really true. Now when things do pass, how do we start to address it? Like when things have calmed down, when you've weathered the storm.
Yeah. And probably chomping at the bit too as a parent, right? Like, okay, I've got something I need to address. Like I didn't, what happened between my kids wasn't okay, and I do feel responsible. Or it's happened in front of other people, and you're feeling like I've got to be responsible, as a parent, because this happened on a playground, this happened at school, this happened in front of the in-laws. And so there's that sense of, I've got to deal with it. And in the moment, you can communicate, I'm going to deal with this later. But it's a good question. Well, what are we supposed to do later? Okay, we bought ourselves a little bit of time. Then the thing that we should be watching for is the second key, and not to proceed until we see that this is present when things are really emotionally charged. We're waiting for the emotions to come down a bit. If you go in and poke a bear, an angry bear, you're going to get a very different response than if you just poke a bear that's kind of chill. We want to move in and test the waters to notice when the emotion is lower. Now, the question is, well, what lowers the emotion? Well, some sort of ability to express that, some time for reflection. It depends how old the child is, but most children would express their emotions through play. So play that allows a child that's, not screen based, it's not necessarily even with their sibling, but something where they can put the themes and the emotions that are stirring inside of them into the outside world. So frustration play might be building or smashing, cutting up things, changing the shape of things, anything that requires some sort of change to an object, clay or art materials, to wood, to building a fort, whatever it is, you're changing the nature of something, which is essentially frustration in action. And that kind of play will actually help to dissipate the emotions that may be stirred up. If they're fighting, it's frustration for sure, right? So you want to move them to play if you can. It might involve you playing. It might involve, if you think that your child is stirred up because they're tired or hungry or they need a break from each other, then you try to fix those things. But we don't proceed until the emotion is a little bit lower. Why? Because it is too provocative and you just get a flare up of the emotion again. It's like if, as adults, we went and said, we oftentimes will say to someone, is this a good time to talk about this? What are we really asking? Can you, gather your thoughts and feelings about this? Can we have a verbal conversation? Is it there? You don't have to do this with a 2-year-old, by the way. I'm talking about a child that's, maybe 4, 3, 4, 5. 3 would be really early, but you're just coming back around to say what happened, and that's the third thing that we'll get into, is just how to deal with it. But yeah, you're waiting for those emotions to be lower. You're waiting, to take the pulse of a child and to let things dissipate. The challenging thing is that sometimes when a child is really stirred up, you can go from temper tantrum to temper tantrum to temper tantrum to temper tantrum, and you realize you've got a really stirred up child. And you've got to try to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to draw this off, or how am I going to reduce this the frustration that's driving it? Maybe a child's getting sick. I mean, I remember my kids just being really irritable and temper tantrumy a day before they'd get sick. And the next day I'd be like, oh, they were not feeling well, but they couldn't tell me that. I didn't know they had an upset tummy or whatever it was. So when emotion is lower, and you can just test the waters. You'll know pretty quickly if it's still high. Kids are pretty good. People are pretty good at letting you know. Yeah.
So you mentioned about the third key. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Third key would be really to, when we do proceed in having a conversation with a child or coming back around to an incident, it's to really be able to connect with them and to do it inside the relationship. You really want to be, if you come to somebody and say, can we talk? Well, sure, I don't know what you want to say. And you're like, okay, they're not with me. Anything I say is going to run into this sort of resistance and hostility. If you can't get a smile, a nod, that sense of warmth between you, then your conversation and whatever, they're not receptive. Like, you need receptivity in the child. And so how we measure that is by being able to collect and get close to them, and it could be about something else. I've got, your dinner here. Oh, I'm not hungry. Okay, we don't have receptivity. I just wanted to come in and read a story. I don't feel like reading stories tonight, or what do you want? Or like, you get a sense of whether or not you're invited, but you want to be able to move to the child's side. You want to be able to feel a sense of connection. And maybe you don't bring it up right away. Maybe you wait till a little bit later on. Maybe you collect your child just to get them back because it was a pretty heated incident. Maybe you need to go to the park and play for a little bit. Maybe you need to go and do something different. And then, 10 hours later, you could wait till the next day. Sometimes I waited till the next day for stuff, right? Your siblings, excuse me, your sibling's birthday party. It's got to be one of the worst days of your life to watch your sibling have a birthday party, right? So, 5 o'clock, they're losing their mind. They've done, great trying to hold it all in. And then they lose, they're frustrated. They have a temper tantrum. It's all about the other sibling. And so, anyway, are you going to have a conversation at 7 o'clock at night after a huge birthday party cake? No, you're going to wait probably till the next day. Can you connect with your child in the morning, and you warm things up and you get some play going, and then you might come to their side and say, hey, listen, you were really frustrated yesterday, and you go with the more difficult or problematic emotion first. This is really important. And don't go in with a lecture, don't go in with problem solving. It seemed like it was a really difficult day yesterday. You were really frustrated by 6. I'm guessing you were kind of tired. Is that true? Yeah, I see. Okay. And was it a hard day because your sister had a birthday? It was, yeah, it's all about her. She got the cake and the presents, and then she didn't want to share the presents with me, and it's not fair. And you see all of this, but that's good. It's coming out. Now, avoid the temptation to teach a lesson. Well, that's not right. That's not sharing. Be a good brother. No, it's about their emotions. They're telling you this was a hard day, right? If we come to any of our friends and we say we had a hard day and they start teaching us how we should have had a better day, that's the last time you're going to talk to that person about your day. What you hear is it's your fault for having a bad day. Now, part of that might be true, but what kids need are people who can walk alongside those emotions and say, yeah, some days are going to be hard. That was difficult. Yeah. And you tried hard, to make it a better day for her during the day. But sometimes we get jealous. Yeah, I'm jealous. Yeah. Well, it won't be the last time. Oh, how would I do with this jealousy? And they might not ask you that, but you say, when I feel jealous, I remember this exact conversation with one of my daughters. She's like, yeah, I'm jealous. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I get that. I say to dad, when my friend tells me they're going to Hawaii for March break, I'm thinking, I always say to them, I'm happy for you. And I am. I'm always happy when anybody I know gets to go to Hawaii. Like, it's just good for you. Like, oh, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth for me anyway. And so I'm always happy when people go to Hawaii. I'm just really unhappy when it's not me. And so I said to my daughter, when my friends say to me, I'm going to Hawaii, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Oh, wonderful. Have a good time. Send back a picture. But then I go home, I'm like to Daddy, can we go to Hawaii? And he's like, no, we can't go to Hawaii. I'm like, oh, I'm just, and then I'm jealous. She's like, yeah, that's what I am. Yeah, well, sometimes we can be happy for others and sad for ourselves. And both of those things can be true. And see, that's where we get with being more responsible around our emotions, is we hold more than one emotion at a time. And 5 to 7-year-olds, if brain development's unfolding well, they can start to do that. So, yes, you can be frustrated. Did you also have your caring? Yes, you were scared, but you still wanted to do it. That's what gives rise to courage. So when you're going back in, especially if you have a child who can do more than one emotion, you're going with the dominant emotion. Yeah, I was frustrated, you're sad. And then you're trying to touch the antidote as they can. School's awful, school's terrible. I remember listening to my daughter for an hour. It's how awful school was. She had to go back. It was January after Christmas break. I hate school. It's so horrible. I don't want to go back. I don't know. She's grade 2 or 3. It really wasn't that bad. But for her, it was bad, right? It was the end of the world. It was the end of Christmas break. Of course it was. So I remember listening to her for an hour. Oh, school's horrible. I'm like, I know, it's so hard. Yeah, and you don't like that either. And yeah, you got to get up early. And oh, yeah, you got to put on those clothes. And it's cold outside. And we went through the litany of things that are just awful about having to go to school. And then after an hour, I kid you not, I was actually doing an experiment to see if it would switch. She could find the other side. So after an hour, she said, but Mom, you haven't asked me about anything good about school.
Oh, wow.
Drained it. Took an hour and everything. And I was just like, come alongside. I'm going, I can't say this and not do this myself. So yeah, an hour. It felt like eternity. And then she said, no, you haven't asked me what's good about school. And I could just feel the lift. I could feel like we had drained everything out, and then her brain was seeking for the other side. But I really would miss my friends, and my teacher's really nice. And I wonder what we're going to do. And that point, it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'll go get Daddy. I think he really wants to hear all this. And I just like, I got to go to bed. I was tired. I'm like, I've done the hardest part. This is good. I can take a break. But that's what we're trying to do when we come back inside the relationship. If you are able to do this with your child and you get to that part and you can have those conversations, you will be disabused of any notion that you have to punish, shame, consequence, timeout to get the maturity that you want. When that child internally is moving in a different direction, thinking a little bit differently, has some perspective, wants to do and follow what you're offering in terms of ways to look at this and think, then you will realize that the power to grow a child up comes from relationship. Discipline never made a child any more mature.
No.
It doesn't fix problems either. So
Mhm.
those are the three keys. Outside of the incidences, when emotions are lower, and inside your relationship.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you something, Deborah, because I hear this a lot. Okay, this is XYZ is happening. Mom is not happy with the behavior or anything else. No more iPad for a week. Your phone is gone. I feel people are disciplining a lot with technology.
Mhm.
So, what are your takes on that?
Well, I mean, it's just a quick form of getting compliance, right? And
Yes, short term.
short-term compliance. And so for the parent, it probably solves a problem that they're having with the children's behavior in terms of needing a quick resolution. The question then is, well, what's the developmental cost? What's the relational cost? Yes, of course, it works, but it works for the short term, has cost to it, and the child's still frustrated. So I can guarantee you someone's going to get that frustration down the road. It could be either behavior online, it could be behavior to a peer, it could be their sibling, and or to a dog or a cat or whatever. The frustration will still come out. And maybe it'll come out and play and be disabused that way or discharged that way. But the question that we need to ask is, okay, that's when a parent feels most out of control, needs a fast solution, right? What's the cost to relationship? You're an adversary. You take away things that are important to a child when you feel frustrated. So it's your frustration really we take care of at that point, really what we're doing. And you communicate to the child, you're too big, you're too much, you're too difficult, I don't have time to listen, I don't know what the child's going to hear, but these might be some of the messages. I'm too difficult, you don't have time for this, you don't understand me, you're an adversary, you look and see what I'm interested in and you take that away. So now instead of the child being a little bit frustrated, now they're really frustrated because their adult is the source of the frustration as well on top of that. Developmentally, what we know is that frustration needs to be moved through. We can't stay in those states. We need to feel connected to our adults to feel safe so that we can feel our emotions. So if we can't come alongside those emotions, then you can't expect your child necessarily to come to you with all their emotions, talk to you, tell you what's going on. It's not like you get to cherry pick which ones, like a child feels safe with you to express or not. And what we know, and this is the deepest cut and the biggest issue why we wouldn't do this, is that developmentally, you can't grow up unless you can feel vulnerable feelings. And the reason why attachment's so important is because attachment takes care of the heart, the child's heart. If the child's heart is safe with you and they can feel the vulnerable feelings, they can grow. Brain development is all predicated on the emotional center in the brain. If that emotional center of the brain can't move, isn't fluid, can't get to the vulnerability, can't get to the expression because the attachment or things are in jeopardy, then we can get developmental stuckness, where you can actually get a 4-year-old who doesn't mature. You can get, this is, trauma is basically this problem where the overload of emotions thwarts development. And so your body may march on and grow, but your emotional system and your psychological development is slowed down or stuck altogether. Now, is that going to happen just once that you say you can't have an iPad? I wouldn't go and say that, but what it communicates to a child is how you're going to take care of them and who you are to them. That's the issue. And so I don't think parents think at that level. We've never really had to, but we never had people telling us how to discipline our children that was separate from culture and the ways that were passed on from matriarchs and how we took care of our kids. But you had a whole bunch of men that came in essentially and said, this is how you should take care of your children. Don't hold them when they cry. Don't pay attention to them. Don't sleep with them. Don't breastfeed them, ferberize them, and all this kind of crazy stuff. We have had more than enough advice along this behavioral lens: consequence, timeouts, threats, punishments. And timeouts have been recalled, if we had such a thing, have been recalled by the pediatric associations in both in Canada for sure. They've recalled them. Ferberizing and sleep stuff has been recalled. So the problem is that we follow blind sages and we don't think a little bit more about the costs.
Beautiful. So I do see, like, the key is to revisit those emotions in a lower intensity and ask for permission or seek for permission and follow your gut as a mom, right?
Yeah. I think parents think if I don't jump on this right away, I'm not being responsible as a parent. And
yeah, I can see myself. I don't know, you guys, ladies, we want to fix it, right? We want to be there. What's happening,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think sometimes I have the magic words, right? Like I can say something, it's all going to be like,
mm-hmm. No, if you want a peaceful existence that way, don't have children. They're messy, they're loud, they are anything but calm inducing. They are not yoga. They are, they are not meditation. They are loud, messy, joyful, vibrant, vital, expressive, every emotion under the sun. They are life. They are beautiful. They are a gift. It's when we stop seeing them as a gift that we get into trouble. And when we stop trusting ourselves as parents, that we get into trouble.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Deborah, for joining us today. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. You're so amazing to listen to. I learned, I don't know, you guys, ladies, what do you think, but I'm learning so much when I talk with Deborah, and I could go for coffee with you anytime.
It's mutual. Thank you.
Awesome. So to reach us or to view all our available episodes, please visit our website at mom-talk.ca or visit the Mom Talk YouTube channel or all the other podcast platform. The Mom Talk show, previously called Parent Talk Podcast and Les Parents Parlent Balado, is a bilingual show, so check out our great content in both English and French. If you're an expert and in the parenting world, please visit the Contact Us section on our website at momtalk.ca. Maybe you want to join us on a show. So Mom Talk would like to thank our generous sponsors, the Tri-Cities Community Television and La Société Francophone de Maillardville. If you're a mom if you know a mom who would benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with her. Spread the love. We want this message to go further than just between the four of us here. So always remember, it's important to laugh, keep learning, cherish your village, and be true to yourself. See you soon for another great episode. From Becca, Heather, and Genevieve, thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.